Hello and welcome to the Flooring Models Friday Roundup Show. Here we are with you on the 5th of July 2024 after a week with this lovely, gorgeous, horrible kit. And finally we are together. Now I can't totally swing this around too much because to be honest with you, the tails are still drying and they've got filler on. But we can see we now have a Halifax in one bit. The wings are finally put on. Lots of fun going through that particular one, purely because we got one wing higher than the other. I don't know, but if we just pop him down, because he's balancing the tails, just to make sure the tails are the same height, the wings are and everything else. But yes, so it's been a full-on job with this particular kit. And again, it is a labour of love. And thanks for all the kind feedback about it, that you're enjoying it, because it's a little bit more to it, shall we say, a bit more modelling, definitely, and going through some of the old skills and that. But basically this week, I've been determined to get it basically to this. Wanted it to get it built and together and then out of all the horrible stages. So then next week we can just basically get on with it, get the clear parts into it, get a few of the other bits onto it, get it into paint, primer and paint and so forth and so on. So and then next week I can actually start to move on with other projects at the same time as this. It has been one of those kits all the way through which has been fighting us, you know. As we said before, it's one of those kits where you have to use the old grade matter, you have to think about things quite a bit and so forth and so on. But at the end of the day, it's still a model. It's no different from any other model. It just depends on how much work you want to put into it, because you could just slap it together and from a good 3 feet away it would look like a Halifax. But we're trying to give it the best shot at everything. The biggest problem we've had is the fuselage is completely twisted. The left and right aren't the same, as in geometry wise. So for instance, this wing on this side and on the wing root is perfect, and on the other side it's slightly lower. So yeah, again, you're like, why is that? And again, the other thing as well, the wings are warped and twisted and they're not right as well, and trying to put that back when it's in styrene, very difficult. Resin, you get it in hot water, you can reshape it, get a jig made up for it, heat it right up, put it into a jig, let it cool, you're good to go. But with this one, the trouble we've got is that the actual inboard parts of the wings, they're fine. And then on this wing, the port wing is actually pretty accurate. I've been looking at the old said drawings and things on this. And yeah, it's pretty much spot on. The other one, though, is doing some gull wing thing. But I've got no way, from my mind, easily of straightening it out. The only way we could actually do it is to chop the wing off and then reconfigure it and reseat it and all the rest of it. That is literally a step too far for me. You know, I'm a great believer in you do it to what you're happy with. Yes, of course we could do it and we can make it 100% accurate, but it's going to take a long time. And we're up to part 6 on this particular build already, and we're only at this stage. So hopefully, I'm thinking by part 10, we'll be done with this one going through, because it should get a little bit easier at the end. But definitely for the moment, that's probably as far as I'm going to actually take it. We corrected some things. We've tried to straighten out the fuselage. It has got a kink into it. It's slightly twisted. It's slightly corkscrewed. So we're trying to make sure that the wings at the moment are level and the tail planes are square to the wings. The fuselage is square from here to the turret. The tail end is slightly twisted. So what we've done is we've kinked the tail slightly to make the tail planes at a slight angle. So when you look at it, everything's the same. So for instance, you can see it down here. I've got some sanding sticks down in here just because they're not just quite touching it, or this one's just slightly touching it. And then this one as well, just touching it as well. So we know that they're level, it's level. It is sitting here on its engines, so it is flat down in here like this. So we know that really the tail is okay as well. Again, this is just one of those things. Do it to what you're happy with, not that it is. Because otherwise you can start to get the jigs out and look at this and you're thinking, yeah, for instance, these engine nacelle areas are perfect, no problem at all. The outboard ones, this one's slightly higher. This one's slightly lower, and this is that trouble with this outer part of the wing. It's like a gull wing. So this is coming up and it's doing this, where this one is perfect. It's got a nice angle and then it flattens out. But this one is continuing to slightly go up. So again, it's one of those ones. I've gone as far as I want to go with it. I'm really not going to go any further. So yes. Anyway, it has been fun. I am still enjoying it in some sadomasochistic kind of way. And again, as you see, this week we've gone on with tons of this stuff as well. So anyway, it all started, as you can see, just down in here on Monday, where we were obviously at part 5 with the Halifax. And again, it's all about sanding and filling this week, sanding and filling. So again, when you've got massive gaps like we've done on here, we've actually used styrene strip to help basically bridged the gap between it because it was so nasty down in here because it's not a nice edge that we've actually used a little bit of packing. And then obviously we came in with the old sprue goo or the old melted styrene sheet into a little bit of extra thin. And then we put some of that on because that's got great capabilities for gap filling. It's brilliant. One of the best fillers out there. Also, what's fantastic, it's structural because it'll be incredibly strong, stronger than super glue. And then thirdly, you can rescribe, re-rivet over it and sand it really easily. So that's why I quite like using the old sprue goo. So anyway, we got all of that in there like that. Then we went to town on the wings. We was getting the wings all together. And actually, that's not too bad. Well, I didn't realise it was so far out at that point. It looked okay. Then we got going with the actual wheel wells. So we put all the wheel wells together. And again, the instructions like this here is terrible because none of the parts look like any of the parts on here. But anyway, we got it together. Then it was sanding. So sanding, filling until we were happy. So we were talking about doing that. And then obviously we gave it a little bit of flat black paint just so we could seam check it. And as you can see, once you get the paint on, you can see quickly and easily which areas you need a little bit more filler. So again, back in with the filler, more sanding, more filling, more spraying. And then hopefully, as you can see there, we've got it looking pretty much good. And bearing in mind, this was actually done on Saturday. By Tuesday morning, I had a sink mark in here again, so we had to do it all again. All right, but there's that one in there. So anyway, members, you can keep up or catch up with this part down in here. There we go, to the final photo. As well, if you want to go off and see this one, it is up there right now. It's part 5. This particular week, because obviously it's all been really hands on deck with this one, some of the daily shows are the members ones, as you can see down in here. Not only were we talking about group builds and SIGs and things like that ending, but obviously I've been showing you in depth a little bit more about this particular build and how it's gone. So sort of an after sort of show, if you like, and various things. So we were talking about tools and sanding and how to go about it. And obviously we're talking about using different grits for the different jobs. And then obviously we're using, talking about different glues for different areas and things like that right the way through. And we were talking about ghost seams, which are a nemesis for this kit because the plastic is a little bit soft. And it will literally just keeps coming back at you. But again, with the old paint down there, rub, check, all the way through, we actually were starting to get along quite nicely. Then obviously it was time to get going with the rescribing and re-riveting. So this particular show down in here, I was just doing a little bit of a catch-up one, and I was just showing you a little bit more in depth of some of the problems we've been having this kit. And we were using the display carving tape or rescribing tape. It's great because it's in 1mm sections. I make myself a little bit of a template, and then obviously we talk about how I do the entire rescribing job of the entire thing. And again, we were talking about wings and those types of things all the way through on here, talking about all the scribing gear I use, because obviously everything's been rescribed and re-riveted on this one. And then obviously we're talking about differences of riveting wheels. Some of them are brilliant, some of them are a little bit gnarly. And again, getting through this one right the way through and going through it. Then obviously we were talking about the wing spar section that's really beefed this thing up, which I'm glad I did. So that's all of those in there. Anyway, that was up for members. You can go off and see that one. That was up with you on on Wednesday. Thursday, member show, light show. So full Q&A and all the rest of it down in here as always. And I was joined by the team and obviously the lovely Karine as well from Flooring Models Europe, or Rebecca, was with us as well. And we were going through everything. So we were looking at your great work for obviously some of the builds that are going on at the moment. We were talking about what we're building at the moment and going through as well. And junkers, very nice indeed. Matt was showing he's finished off some of his armour recently and he's got that one going. And we were having a look at some of the entries that have been going on into the Interbellum build for the final reveal and various things like that as well. And obviously looking at the classic builds and all the other ones as well, and the Spanish build even. And then basically for the entire rest of the show, we were doing Q&A. So he was answering your questions. So the usual fun and giggles and laughter, although it doesn't look like everyone's laughing, down in here just like this. All right, so you can catch up with this one if you want to as well for members. It's around about, what did we do on this one? Yeah, just shy of 2 hours on here. So if you want to catch up and have a look at this particular show, you can do as well. That's up on the site now. To finish off, obviously we've got part 6, which is really getting you pretty much up to date of where we are now with this particular build. So we were talking about obviously some of the hassles we've had with this kit. So in with the wheel wells, and as you can see, this is the stock kit part. This is the actual upgrade I had to give it because it doesn't fit. So by the time we managed to get it all down in there and that, we used a lot of test fitting so we could get it as good as possible, as you can see just down in here, so we didn't have to come in with filler. And then obviously we just used a bit of contactive glue with this one, and then final ghost marks, which keep coming back to me. So we used a little bit of water-based putty. This is the AK stuff to go right the way through with this particular one. There we go. That's the rescribing on the way with that one. Then we were talking about re-riveting it right the way through, and obviously some of the riveters I was using and the sizes. So a 0.75 seemed to work well for the singles and doubles with this one. And then obviously we're going through some of the problems we've had with some of the panel lines, especially around the seam lines, is obviously it's got super glue in it. So to get around that problem, we actually used a razor saw for doing all the panel lines running over the fuselage. So we discussed and talked about that one in there. And then re-rivet the entire thing. So, or we should say not re-rivet, we riveted the entire thing. So we went right the way over. A little bit of whiffery on this one because I'm not sure exactly what the real thing's got. So we used a lot of cues from the Lancaster and some reference photos, and then the rest of it was purely my imagination running riot and going through and getting it all down into this one. So again, getting it down into there, and then obviously we're talking about getting the wing sections onto it as we're moving on all the way through. And there we go. That gets us pretty much to where you are today, which is just down in here. I don't know how well you'll be able to see some of the riveting down on here. But as you say, we've got it all over the wings. You see the wing textures are a little bit rough. You can see them down in there. It's better when we got the primer on and stuff, but we've also done total rivet job of the entire fuselage. So that's all been done as well. So again, we're just trying to get these wings on all these parts at the moment. Got a bit of filler to take care of on the back down in there. And then we've got to do a little bit of work for these small gaps on the underside as well. So yeah, packing that out. So we're going to pack them out with some shims, get some plastic card down in there. That'll speed up the times of it. And hopefully we can get this one moving along very nicely. So I am hopeful this time next week, I'll be showing you something that's either got primer on it and all the rest of it and all masked up ready to go and is in paint, or it might even have a little bit of paint on it as well. So looking forward to that one. I am going to be starting my next group build as well. So I'm doing the classic pre-1990s kit. So I'm going to be doing Hasegawa's gorgeous A7 Corsair 2. Again, I've built many of those kits over the years, and it's just one of my firm favourites. It does qualify because I think it came out in 1988, I think it was. So yes, so we're going to be going on with that one, and I've got lots of other good builds coming through as we make our way through next week. This weekend, I'm up in Doncaster because we're having a big sort out. I spoke to the members about it on last night, showing the reasons behind it. So I'm going to be up at the unit basically dismantling stuff and taking things apart and all the rest of it, ready for the move. And then obviously because of that, I'm not going to do any filming over the weekend, so there won't be anything up on Monday either, because the chances are I'm probably going to have Monday off work. So I'll be with you on Tuesday next week as we make our way through. So look forward to looking at those ones as well. And also I'm going to bring back a load of stuff from PM, and perhaps we can look about that. I am going to vlog the trip as well. That'll be free to watch, so hopefully I'll get that ready and done for you by Tuesday. So till Tuesday will be the road trip up to Doncaster and all the things that me and Matt have got up to with the other guys over the weekend as well. Anyway, that's about it from me. Really enjoying it still. Haven't thrown it out the window. It is still here. And as you can see, with how we got it together, it's looking really, really nice. So with any luck, as I say, it won't be too long now before we actually get some paint on this. And I think that'll be the real change for this particular kit. Anyway, as always on a Friday, I'm going to leave you with your great work from the gallery. So until next week, everybody, happy modelling. Take care.
I'm wasted. My heart grows heavy. Don't taste me rushing and keep your words naked. You got me blushing. And you forever I'll follow. You'll be my holy ground. You forever I'll follow. In guessing for the answers. No.